Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and this is week 4 of our Stash Buster block series. And the block we're doing today is called Tams Patch, and here's my sample here. Once again, this is made out of it's made out of squares and rectangles. We've got a rectangle section here and then one over here, and it uses 3 different colors. And I'm going to adjust the camera and show you how to put this block together. Okay, with Tams Patch on the sample that I have here, I made it purple, pink, and white, and I'm going to change the colors up just a little bit, and I'm going to use still use a purple and a white, but I'm going to use this multicolor print instead of the pink, because I thought after looking at this block from a distance, the pink kind of just faded away. It just wasn't the right color for this. So we're going to lay this here as our reference and then begin with the pieces. So what you're going to need from your dark fabric, which I chose purple, is 2 4.5-inch squares. So I've got those here. And then for these pieces here, your contrasting or your medium value, you're going to need 2 2.5-inch squares. And for your background, or white as I'm using here, you're going to need 2 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangles, and then you'll need you're going to need 2 2.5-inch squares of that same color. So we'll go ahead and lay out our pieces, and we're going to put a purple here and one here, so they're going to go opposite each other. And then we'll put our contrasting color down in the corner that those form, and then we're going to put a 2.5-inch square up here, and this one's going to go over here, and then this piece will go here and this piece will go here. So what we have is we have the seams with the contrasting color all matching this piece here, and then the rectangle and the contrasting color will match this one here. Now it doesn't really matter. If you wanted, you could flip these around and do this if that looks more pleasing to you. That way you've got the plain rectangles going to the outside, and I think that's what I'll do with this block. Actually, I think that'll look more pleasing than here, because I've got a seam up here, which opposite it should be down here, and I have it over here. So it's all the same fabric. It's all going to kind of fade away, so it's really not going to make any difference. It's just however you want to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to put my 2 2.5-inch patches together. So I'm just going to fold them over, and I'm going to stitch those at the machine. Okay, so we're going to line my raw edges together and just stitch these 2 squares. Now, I don't think I ever mentioned in the other videos that I am using just the standard stitch length, and on this machine it's a 2.5, and I am using a white this is 100% cotton thread that I'm using, but you can use an all-purpose thread also, and use whatever color goes with the pieces that you're sewing. With that one sewn, and actually I want to stop here. I want to look at this because there is a direction to this contrasting fabric. If you will see here, it has stripes in it. So this piece is going to be like here. Now for the one in the lower block, I could do it like this if I wanted to have them go in opposite directions, or I could do this, and I think I want them going both in the same direction. So I want to make sure I am sewing this in the correct orientation for what I want. So I'm going to sew this one like this. So that is one thing to consider if you're using fabric that has a direction to it, is make sure you have your pieces lined up the way you want them to be in the finished block. Okay, now it's time to press those open, and I'm going to press towards the contrasting fabric on both of these pieces. Okay, I have all my pieces laid out again. I have these seams pressed towards the darker fabric. Next thing I need to do is to sew this unit to the rectangle. So I'm going to do that on both pieces. And I'm going to take them to the sewing machine and do that part. Okay, I'm sewing with the raw edges even, and making sure that the seam is facing towards me so it won't get flipped over while I'm stitching. Now on this one, I'm going to turn it this way so I can do the same thing, and I can watch this seam to make sure it doesn't flip over. Now if you have a 1/4 inch piecing foot, that'll help you a lot on your accuracy, on your piecing, on how you're sewing. If you don't, maybe you have a marking on your machine, and if you don't have that, go ahead and measure it out and put a piece of static tape or low-tack tape on there so that you can keep an accurate 1/4 inch seam. Okay, we're going to go back to our ironing surface and lay these pieces out. Okay, so we've got one piece to go this direction, one piece this direction. Now the fabrics want to lay this way because there's no extra seam there that's causing bulk, and we can do that, or we could, you know, encourage it to go the other direction. And I think today I'm just going to let it go the direction it wants to go instead of fighting it. That color may shadow through a little bit, but I don't think it'll be too bad. So we're going to do the next one, do the same thing. And there we go. Now we've got 4 units that we can sew together. So I'm going to fold them over and stitch down these seams here. And here we go again, line up raw edges, and then just watching the seams, make sure I don't flip them over. This is where a stylus would come in handy if you have one. And one more. Okay, I'm going to press again, and then we just have one more seam to sew, and this block will be done. Now I'm going to press both of these to the dark side because this dark purple will shadow through easily. So we're going to, and this is the only piece without a seam in it at the moment, so it should go that direction easily enough. And that will get those seams going in opposite directions so that they'll nest easier. So I just have this seam to do now, so I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to nest these seams together. And if you want to put a pin in there, you can do that. That way those seams are snug up against each other and they're not overlapping. I've got this seam going that way, this seam is going this way, and now it's all ready to stitch. Okay. there we go. Well, I got what I wanted. I wanted those seams to meet without overlapping or having a gap between them, so that worked out well. So I'm going to press this and we'll take a look at the block. Okay, one last press. I'll press the seam the way it was stitched and then just press it open. And then I'm going to go ahead and use seam. Just kind of help that block rest a little bit and lay flat. And then here we go, we have Tams patch. I think that's an interesting block. It's very simple, and yet it's got good contrast, and I think this would look really spectacular with a whole bunch of these blocks in a quilt. So here's the one we just made today. Here's my sample with slightly different colors. The purple is more of a red purple, a red violet, instead of violet like this one. This is more of a bluish violet, I think. And then I have the multicolored fabric as opposed to the pink here. So think about the different colors that you could use in this block. You could use all different colors in this. I think it'd be very pretty. So there we go. There is Tams patch, and I hope you liked this video, and if you did, I hope you will click the like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, I hope you'll consider subscribing and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when the new videos are uploaded, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.